Pleased to welcome everyone here today, joining us in person and also by Zoom. Dr. Lester Stewart, no, author.
Y'all join me in our national anthem and our pledge to flag. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's flash gleam, whose bright lights and bright stars through the perilous fight? Oh, the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streamed, and the rockets' red flare above bursting midair came through the night, and our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, land we conquer free, when the home of the free. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
James Etheridge has our invocation.
Can you hear me now? We're entering into our Thanksgiving week, and we hope that all of you have a great Thanksgiving and that your family and all will be blessed. And we always remember how grateful we need to be for what country we live in, for the great things our Father does for us above. So let's go to him and thank him for this food today and our time to be able to eat together. Father, we're so thankful, Lord, just for today. Thankful for all your goodness, your grace, your mercy you give us daily, blessings you give on to us, to our family, our community, and to this world. And Father, we ask you, Father, that as we meet today, you will be blessed for the things that are said, the things that we do. We also thank you for the food we eat today. Bless all those that, as we just recently celebrated this past Friday, Veterans Day, all the ones that have served our country, those that lost their lives, and the families of those that lost their lives, that we might have freedom as we do today. We thank you for all those that served in our community, for our police officers, our firemen, our rescue people. We also thank you, Father, for this club. We thank you for the service they do to this club or this community. We ask you, Father, to bless us as we come this week. Let us always be grateful for all you do. We give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, James.
Family of Rotary, very good. Can you guys hear me? I don't seem like it's not really.
Thank you, President Greg. Hope everybody's having a great day. Going to vary just a little bit. I think we need to have a round of applause, and I say this in a very sincere way. Over here to my right, your left, as you're looking forward, is the past president's table along with district governor. And I think we're honored that we got a club with a past district governor, past. Can y'all stand up? Let's give them a round of applause. Come off with one of those. We got a whole word. Anyway, birthdays. Jackson Dennis on November the 17th, along with Lawrence Johnson the 17th. Boy Ravrini on November the 18th. Seth Brooks, November 21st. And Bruce McNeil again, stealing the limelight, November the 25th. Anniversaries. Judge Mike Conaway and Patricia, November the 16th. And Mike Goodman and Peggy on November the 24th. Hope you all have a great week. Thank you.
Steve Holman will introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians.
We're happy to welcome our guests and visiting Rotarians today. When I call your name, would you please stand and remain standing until all visitors are recognized? Marion Lofton, guest of Tom Soils, Steve McCarroll, guest of Bo Thacker, Trey Norris, guest of Jason Rudd, Steve Haddix, guest of Marcus Cannon. Did I miss anybody? Thank y'all for visiting.
Oregon Eagle, Camp Astor drawing. Thank you. 1,294 points. Thank you. And the number is 7496. 7496.
Early person.
Three of diamonds. A couple of quick announcements. There's a board meeting immediately following this meeting. In January and February, we are not meeting here. They will be renovating the hall, and First United Methodist Church has graciously offered for us to meet there. Pretty central location, and they're being very kind in the small amount that they're charging us. So we will, January and February, First United Methodist Church in the, what do they call that? Thank you, Fellowship Hall. Up here, the brain doesn't seem to work like it usually does. Also, I received an email with a request for people who may be interested, have a passion to teach our youth leaders. Rotary Youth Leadership, RYLA, Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, is scheduled for March 2nd through 5th at Camp Asca, and they are needing volunteers to help teach there. If you're interested, I have copies of that email, and you can tell I'm old school. So come up and I'll be glad to give that to you. I'm old. How many of you here can remember the year 1973 when the thoroughbred, 3-year-old thoroughbred Secretariat won the Triple Crown? I don't know if any of you remember the third race of that Triple Crown. It's the Belmont Stakes. It's longer than the other races. Secretariat won that race by 31 lengths. That had never been done before, and it's never been done since. Jack Nicklaus told him he was by himself when he watched that race, and he found himself standing up and cheering because this horse reached perfection at that time. Or at least that's what he felt, and I think that's a pretty good idea. Now, I want to talk about the generosity of this club because I think it compares to Secretariat winning by 31 lengths. Dale, forgive me if we're bragging, but I just want to talk about the generosity. Dale Goodwin sent out a scorecard on the amount of money collected for Polio Plus through the Purple Pinky Award, fundraiser. And the generous people of this club didn't give twice as much as the next club. They didn't give 3 times as much. You guys gave 4 times as much as the next closest club. And I just think that says a lot for your generosity.
That's great.
And Greg, I hate to interrupt, but just this week, I got $600 more from our Rotary Club.
Wow.
One member sent a check for 500 and another member sent a check for 100. So we're at $16,700 from this club.
Which turned into over $123,000.
Over 300 and some thousand. for polio.
300.
Okay.
Yeah.
I never was very good with numbers.
With the match.
All right, if Tom Sorrell would come forward with Marion.
Marion, would you come with me?
Yes, I'll follow you.
And some people you can just give their first name and everyone knows who they are. So Mary-in-law, Tom, if you'd like to say something.
Well, let me say this. Well, most of us here are friends of Jim and Mary Lawson. When she sat down, I knew everybody could talk to her because she's the greatest person in Dothan, Alabama. And Jim had been my friend for years. And I told Sheila when I was thinking about the Rotary Club, that one of the reasons I was interested in it because Jim Lofton had been in the Rotary Club all these years. I associated Jim with the Rotary Club and all the kind of things he did. That's why I was interested in it. And then when I got interested in this Paul Harris Fellowship thing because I was sick and not able to do some of the fundraising. And I want to be part of that. And then I found out that you could do a Paul Harris Fellowship in honor of someone. My first thought was to do it in honor of both Jim and Mary, but then I decided they could only do one. That's what they said. So I wanted to do a Paul Harris Fellowship. By the way, Jim and Marion are both Paul Harris Fellows. And Marion was the first woman Rotarian in the Tuesday Club. And today is Jim's, yes, that's right, a girl. This is Jim's birthday today.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So I remember this. Jim was doing a lot of work before he passed away, recently before he passed away, and he would take his badge with him so he could get counted perfect attendance whether he was in Dothan or not. So he's still getting perfect attendance as far as I know. So I have decided to do the Paul Harris Fellowship, and I do it in honor of one of the greatest men I know, Jim Lofton, and today is his birthday.
I think he wanted me to sing happy birthday. But I just want to say that I have loved Rotary and I love what we stand for. And I love what we do in this country and other countries. So it was a privilege to be in Rotary Club. It was also a privilege to be married to the love of my life, Jim Lofton. It was for 47 years and that was not long enough. However, very famous, wise people have said, if the only thing you ever say is thank you, it will be enough. And so I thank you. Oh, we're not through.
We're not through. No.
There's always something else.
Paul Harris recognition has been decorating our Rotary Foundation's passionate supporters for many years. It's a proud tradition that honors the memory of our founder, past Rotary International President Paul Harris. I believe that he'd be deeply moved to see all that Rotarians and friends of the foundation have done and continue to do in the name of Rotary. In order to be honored as Paul Harris Fellow, someone must contribute a sum of at least $1,000 to our foundation's annual fund, Polio Plus, or an approved foundation grant. These funds can be used to honor others while being applied to the amazing work that has distinguished our Rotary Foundation as an organization that provides hope, health, and peace around the world. So many good things begin with these gifts. Wells are constructed, children are vaccinated, senior citizens are afforded meals and services, children and adults are educated and given professional opportunities. This work is vital to the children, families, communities who benefit. Marion, this is a certificate, and we thank you so much for coming today.
Oh, yeah.
Sheila Azar has a presentation.
Thank President Greg. So I also have a privilege today to introduce to you a first-time Paul Harris Fellow recipient. And I've known this man for around 20 years or so, and I can tell you that he has a servant heart. When we first met, we kind of got thrown together to work on a very time-consuming, demanding project. But I can tell you that he did not miss a beat until the mission was done. And so it gives me great pleasure to be able to do this today. I can tell you that he adores his family. He's very proud of his children, his grandchildren, and even a great-grandchild. And I have a 2-page list of accomplishments. I'm not going to read them all, but even, I think this is a summary. And I know that it doesn't include everything because I know a few things that are not on this list. But let me just tell you a few things about this new Paul Harris Fellow. He was born in Atlanta, Georgia, and he attended public schools there. He has a degree from Stanford University. He did graduate work at the University of Alabama in social work. He did graduate, I can say that word, I really can. Graduate work at the University of Georgia School of Education. He has a Juris Doctor degree from Jones School of Law. He was a teacher and coach at Rehoboth High School. I didn't know that. 1965 and 66. He was a state probation and parole supervisor, Assistant Attorney General of Alabama. He was a district attorney in the 20th Judicial Circuit of Alabama. He was Assistant Attorney General. He was Executive Director of the Alabama District of Attorneys Association, a member of the faculty of the Alabama Judicial College. That's just a few. He proudly now serves on the Alabama Supreme Court's Committee on Criminal Forms. He presently serves as chairman of the Community of Education Committee of the Alabama State Bar. He's a past member of the Supreme Court's Committee on Juvenile Justice. On and on. He's a member of the Board of Directors of National District Attorneys Association, a member of the Executive Committee, National District Attorneys Association, and he was appointed acting district judge of Henry County during 1992. Tom Sorrells, would you please come and receive your Paul Harris Fellow?
Oh, goodness alive. Where did they come from? These are my grandchildren, and my daughter, Susie. This is my grandchild, Sarah Brown. This is Tyler Brown, Gary Brown, Stacy Hughes Sorrells, and they're part of my family. Is that Eddie's out of town. That's my son Eddie, and I have a son Tommy in Oregon, and Susie lives right around the corner from me. This is my joy, and this is my life.
They're not through you either.
Oh, no?
They won't.
No.
Well, we'll get a picture
On the
of
podium?
it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
You gotta listen to the speech again.
We're going to have the one speech apply to both. I propose a standing ovation.
It's here. That's your hands. That's good. Yes, that's, yeah, that's it right there with.
She
I don't know. Thank you so much for your service. Oh, what you said, you're okay.
Walter Hill will introduce our speaker.
In October of 2019, Joseph Johnson, Mary Beth Meadows, and I were in Montgomery for the first retreat of Leadership Alabama Class 30. And we met Dave Wood that day and have been friends with him ever since. So that's why I invited Joseph and Mary Beth to join me at the head table today. Real quickly, his lengthy bio, I want to hit some highlights. He has a BA in economics from the University of Alabama, graduate school in international economics at American University in Rome, Italy. He is chairman of the board of Wood Fruitticher Grocery Company and has, I think, several of his co-workers joining us today from the Wiregrass area. He's been a private pilot since 1968 and an angel flight pilot since 2000. He's been extremely involved with the Boy Scouts of America, having served as their state chairperson. He helped begin the food bank, the Wiregrass food, not Wiregrass, United Way Food Bank in Birmingham with Mr. Joe Bruno. He is a graduate of Leadership Birmingham and Leadership Alabama, very active in the Birmingham community in a number of areas, and he's going to share with us his experiences and his personal stories as an angel flight pilot. So please welcome our friend and fellow Rotarian, Dave Wood.
This is rarefied air of my old friends, and President Greg, Walter, Mary Beth, and Joseph, and District Governors, and Mr. Tom and Ms. Lofton, and the two guys I worked with for years, Trey and Steve. Feeling uncomfortable with this high-class group, and then I saw McCarroll, so you got standards blowing up. It's a great privilege to tell a few stories. Well, let's get this thing started. Punch it, you punch it.
I'm trying to get on.
This is a talk I gave to my Birmingham Rotary Club several years ago, and I'm not smart enough to know how to change it. Let me get a little anecdote while she's doing that. Y'all have a gracious, wonderful community. Tell you a short story. I want to tell during the campaign last summer, you know, we had all these politicians going all over the state. One of them had a speech in Birmingham, had to get to Dothan for an early breakfast the next morning. The pilot mom was just lined up to take him. Had a mechanical, and we all help each other out. So it's about 6 o'clock in the evening. Said, Dave, can take this gubernatorial candidate to Dothan tonight. He won't be done till about 9:30. It was a pretty night, and I love to fly, and we help each other. So we take off. So I'm coming down here. Nobody's flying that night but me. Talking to Carnes Approach, and that's over at Rucker. And as a young woman, her voice was so nice, she had to be a really pretty young woman. I could just tell. So I'm kind of getting late, and I want to get right on back. So what I said, man, what if you give me an outbound transponder code? I'm just not even gonna turn the engine off, just go on my pasture and boogie right back to Birmingham. Said, good idea, hang on. And it's an automated system. You come back and say, your next transponder code is 0666. You're getting way ahead of me. But I did have the same thought you did, but I don't know how you can change this stuff. About 10 seconds later, that young woman said, I can get you another code if you'd like, sir. That won't happen to anybody anywhere except in the South. So be proud of that. Well, to start, a little background. I've been flying. My dad was a World War II bomber squadron commander, taught me to fly. I've enjoyed aviation my entire life. So my family were all vets. So 20 years ago, my mother heard about a group called Veterans Airlift Command. I don't know how she heard about it. And it was often, Mama didn't command me, but she strongly suggested I look into being a part of that. And what it is they identify these vets literally all over the country, frailty or need, because they don't want to go over it, and post it. Jim Bob's got to go from Toledo to Omaha. And I look at my calendar, one of us throughout the country, so I'll take it. And it's up to us to get the job done. I'm real proud of this, and just share with y'all, I've had 96 missions now. I want to get 100. I got at least 4 more, I hope. So that's the basis of where the story starts. Not a little old company, you may see our equipment, Fruitticher is a tricky word, so Trey and Steve encouraged me to put the phonetic spelling on our trucks just to help you common people understand. And you gotta have a sense of humor, and I love the company. And that's the company motto. You're a family company. Joseph, you get that. What can I say? And y'all have heard me do this. I've done this talk a gazillion times. I look at Chewy Vasquez and my throat closes down every single time. It's the first mission I ever had. He was a single amputee. Good grief, he was a master sergeant, I think. And I flew him from San Antonio back to Camp Lejeune, Wilmington, North Carolina. This Chewy, by the way, is a nickname for the Hispanic community. Hasteners. One of the many things I learned from that soldier. And flying today is maybe not quite what you think. These things I drive now, they go really high, and it's just being airlines, and it's pleasant. And we got these headsets, it's like talking amongst ourselves, Greg. And we're just chewing, just joing, talking all sorts of things. I'll never forget what he told me just out of the blue, and he says, let me get it right. He says, I'm Hispanic extraction, but sir, I'm 100% American. I don't get this Hispanic. The language is colorful, but they don't get this Hispanic stuff. He just offers that to me. Never forgot that. He jumps out of airplanes at 40,000 feet in the middle of the night behind lines. Just give you some flavor of that. About every 1,000 feet, the temperature drops 3 degrees. So if he's at 30,000, it's 90 degrees colder there than here. And the pressure, of course, there's no air. He's on oxygen. He's got all kind of thermal stuff on, and at 14,000 feet, it's so hot. I don't know how they do that. And sometimes he'll have as much as 600 pounds tethered to him. Like what, Chewy? He says a lot of times it's diesel fuel. It could be ammunition, could be food, who knows what. So we finally get to Wilmington, and that beautiful smile, had tattoos head to toe. Now, why young people do that's beyond me. And I made sure he knew I didn't get that. Genuinely wonderful man. We get to Wilmington, we get off, his Sunday school class for their opinion. His 2 boys were there, had never seen their pop without a leg. And they're just staring at it. Get off point. I'm gonna get on and off point a whole lot. I'm not smarter than you, but I may know some stuff you haven't learned yet. If you're around one of these guys, don't act like that's an elephant in the room. Whoa, Chewy, I bet that hurt. That sucks. You have to deal with that every day, don't you? I mean, they're living that. Don't be afraid of it. I remember his 2 boys all they could do was stare at their dad's stomach. There were little flags, maybe 30 people, mechanics, airport people. I put my hand on his shoulder and said, I've been with a hero today. And John grabs me and said, my buddies that didn't come home with a hero today. He talked about his soldiers over and over for 3 hours, San Antonio to North Carolina, whatever it is. I knew then, Mama was right. I got to be committed to that. And I tried to pretty much honor that. I'm going to do a lot more. That man, he's still doing great. The boys are grown. Golly, he's got a foundation he runs up in North Carolina area. It's a beautiful story here. That is Kyle Carpenter. And the story is that man did that event. He shielded his squad, his group, from something that saved the entire squad. Got completely blown up. Still got all his limbs, but all sorts of issues. Too many. You see a little smudge on his left cheek, that's gunpowder. Apparently they can take it out with lasers, but they're afraid to because it could ignite and make things even worse. So we're flying across the country. They're reuniting his squad in Tuskegee, Alabama. Someone's going to hunt them for a long weekend. Pretty cool event. And I got to be with them when they reunited, and that bond we'll never understand. To say it was unimaginable is an understatement. The buddy I took with him was Dominic. I still smile. He lost a leg or 2. He wanted to get up front with me, and it's kind of narrow. A little old plane I fly goes real high and very fast. Some of that means it's small capsule. So anyway, he slipped out of his leg. It was between the seats, and I'm equipped. I picked it up. It's pretty heavy, a lot heavier than you think. That guy says to me, I'm sorry. I said, it's heavy, Dominic. He said, yes, sir. I'm sorry. It stinks, sir. I didn't get that at all. He said, yes, sir. I was drinking beer out of it last night. I said, you an idiot. He said, yes, sir, but the women loved it. Trey, what I have found out is that's the only way they can deal with these horrific injuries. You got to talk about it, laugh about it, get about it. That's what that man told me. Jim, that's the squad part of it. There were 6 different airplanes, literally from all over the country, and just watching them reconnect was just a special thing for me. That's the rest of some of his squad. That's him in the back seat. Kyle lost an eye. I couldn't even tell. He wore sunglasses all the time, but hang on. He gets the Medal of Honor from our president. I forget what year that was. That's a while ago. Understand that is the absolute top of the pile. It's the highest award this country had. And another part of this, just mention, heck, he's how old is he? 22, 24, the children, and did these magnificent tasks for us. He just got his master's at University of South Carolina, environmental science of some sort. It's doing wonderfully well. That's a triple amputee I took, and the meaningful part of this one for me, that's his dad, and we landed up in DC, as I recall. And these injuries are so awful. It impacts the whole family. His father has to help him get his arm back on and put he's usually done not chewing tobacco, snuff, and put that in his mouth. And so the injuries impact the entire family forever. And this is one of my favorite pictures. That beautiful woman marries him. That's pretty good commitment in my book. I'm so proud of her as much as I am him. Maybe as meaningful a stories I've ever had. I remember I picked that young woman up from San Antonio, I believe, took her back to Peachtree to cab. I mean, the bottom fell out just as we were landing, and so heavy, the big drops, they make a lot of noise on the windshield. When I finally stopped, we sat in the plane for 20 minutes because we'd been soaked going into the little FBO there. So her name is Lakeisha Stokes. She played 4 years, freshman through senior year at Clemson, women's basketball, every record you can have playing basketball. Some of you sports people know what they are. It's points or blocks or whatever they are. I'm not a big guy, but she must be thoroughly athletic to be that good and not a big, basketball guy is supposed to be tall, I thought. She was going through limb salvage, and that don't even want to know anymore about that. Beautiful young woman, great attitude, pouring down rain. I think, seeing as I remember, her uncle and her aunt, somebody picked her up, and I'm just going to wait and let the weather kind of settle down. I don't know her to get back to Birmingham, just a chip shot. And these airplanes, they suck in a whole lot of air, so you got to put these covers on them. So I'm going to just put the covers on while I wait.
Wow.
Tell you what, that's important. That rainbow is where I sit. And my story, and I'm sticking to it, is that confirmed that I was where I was supposed to be that day. That's one of as meaningful a picture to me as I've ever had. Former governors, appreciate y'all. What y'all done. Luke Murphy, he was in town with me just this past week. Got in the little shawls. I love this. I'm Methodist and the old women. I have a way with old women. But if it's a 40-year-old professional, smart, educated, but 80-year-old knitters, that group of women knitters at my church, they call themselves the nitwits, and they make prayer shawls for people when they get sick, but they make red, white, and blue ones for me. And what I enjoy the most is these lumberjacky heroes, warriors, just love those things. Luke lost a leg and part of an arm, part of the other leg, gets blown up in a Humvee and still commanding his squad and saving lives. Generally fabulous man. He wanted to sit up front and just flipped his leg up out the way. It gets kind of spooky, but good story. How long?
We have to one.
I'll hustle. I won't take it too long, but wonderful. Just happened a couple of years ago. These guys that get blown up, they get a lot of stuff out of, but they can't get it all out. Steve, and then they go these low-grade infections, and they're funny bugs over and out. All of these Afghanistan deer. funny bugs, and so they get these low-grade infections, and then what invariably happens, they go back to Walter Reed up there, and they shave another 3/8 off the femur. It's another prosthetic, it's another healing, they fall a lot. The process is just so discouraging. He's got this fever they can't fix, and I'm gonna take him to MD Anderson, they're gonna try that. And the night before, the weather got terrible. And I called him and said, I just can't do it, Luke. He's disappointed, I'm terribly disappointed, but I can't do something stupid anyway. His neighbor heard about it and said, why don't you drive over there to Jacksonville? It's a great diagnostic hospital in Jacksonville. What's the name? Not Mayo, is it Mayo or? Is it Mayo? So he drives over there, sees a surgeon. He said, well, what do the MRIs say? Luke says they never had done one for the metal in my leg. That doctor says, well, I gotta see. They do an MRI, they found a pocket of infection, they drained it, and Luke, no surgery, no rehealing, no. So that's providence in play. That's my story again. There's a reason that storm system stopped me from Texas. That's all. Wanda, do you agree with that? Jill John, I took back to Tampa, EMT, massive guy, and all his head was really messed up in an explosion. That's his mother, Judy. He called him Jimmy. These families suffer like the soldiers do. Beautiful man. All he did was smile, and everybody he walked by, he hugged. And I get to spend time with people like this. EOD, what's that stand for? Explosive Ordnance Disposal Bomb Guy. And that center in this country is destined, Eglin. I had no idea. And I picked them up there and took them home. This is kind of a heart-wrenching event. So my plane's in there, and you see if you're looking at Greg, with no legs, he can lay down crossways. And this thrills me. If I'm doing my job right, they always fall asleep. That's a sweet, gentle picture. And then this is point out another thing. You may know, you may not know, that I had to learn from this. You're looking at a bona fide mirror. Can't tell you much about this, but understand Walter Reed has done exquisite advancements in helping these guys have families. So that child is a miracle. I've told you all I know, but just don't overlook that. That's all I'm saying. Life lesson right there. That's Mr. Woody Williams. We just lost Mr. Woody this past spring, as I recall. Iwo Jima, if you can believe it. He gave me some sand from Iwo Jima. How cool is that? He was the chaplain of the Medal of Honor Society. I've flown him 2 or 3 times. And frumpy little guy, his story, and Google Woody Williams, you want to be inspired. So anyway, wherever we were, I introduced him, said, meet my friend, Mr. Woody Williams, Medal of Honor women. That little guy shouldn't say that. That person grabbed my shoulder hard, spun me around and said, don't you ever say that. I didn't know what I said. I said, you think we're competing for this? You think there's some kind of daggone game? We received the Medal of Honor. He is a Medal of Honor recipient. If you don't think that's important to them, give it a try. It's a life lesson I've never forgotten. He's a Medal of Honor recipient. One of my favorite stories. Some group feted these bunch of torn up soldiers down in Orlando for a weekend or something. So we're going home on a Sunday. I don't know, they all look at this thing. This is the wife of the big guy. Andy Bellis, that soldier on the crutches, she was hardly hurt in some kind of training accident. Had to do with the parachute, that's not all I know. And I've heard colorful language. I was in the service, so we all kind of know about that. That girl took me to school. Her language was. And I kept telling her, she lives in Panama City now. We can't keep up. She's healed, she's beautiful, she's back. She said, Andy, we don't talk like that. And I said, well, I blank do, and never stop. The attitudes, that's what healing. I think, we got any doctors in here? Well, if there were, I applaud our physicians. They help us heal quicker or less painless or less scarring or what. But only God makes that bone go back, that skin. And I watched the healing. I get to watch because I know these people over the years. It's just unforgettable. So let's see, and that woman just found out she was pregnant. We brought them back from Walter Reed. And that other guy's an old vet that just likes to co-pilot with me. That's when I learned that the idea that they get to have families is just something I had never even considered. Oh, what a classic story. The guy, the soldier, the guy, football, Albertville football player, mom, his girlfriend's a cheerleader, they get married, he's deployed 60 days, gets blown up. Lost both legs, his arms real funky. That's a year later. That's another one on the mural. That baby was 3 months old. Took it back to Walter Reed. A year later, baby's bigger. Then we got a real airplane. And that's the soldier me, the baby who's now 3, the mama, and that little woman in there's a nurse that just like to fly with me and her mom and dad. And Wounded Warriors, and I don't know anything about that group, has built them a home handicapped accessible kind of thing. Great story. And there's a shawl and that big old soldier, just a delightful friend of mine, of ours. Luke, no, it's not Luke. See, you get old as me, you forget names. That's, I'll think about it. I show this picture for context. Handsome guy. And and stupid, like we all were at 24, whatever they were. He's an E6, so this is a really trained man. In Afghanistan, Danielle and Taylor Morris, Sioux City, Iowa, I think. And he gets blown up at quadruple amputee. You're gonna see his girlfriend who leaves, and when he finally gets home from Germany, finally back to the States, Danielle goes to his hospital room. Hear me when I say this, never left his room for 11 months. And often that's a commitment. The nurses fed her, washed her clothes, she bathed however she could in his 11 months. That's pretty daggone. Who's the biggest team? I consider them both equal. The way she took care of him, it's the first time he could drink by himself. First time he could ever eat, so they kind of strap on the spoon or something. Oh, that flag just teared me up. You see what you're looking at? That beautiful woman carries him like a backpack. Aren't you pretty? Mr. Tom, your grandchildren were marginal. Those are pretty children.
Oh, yeah.
Golly, golly. And I get a paper cut and wine for 2 days. That was homecoming. Boy, what a day that was. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. Flew him 2 or 3 times. A buddy on this side, a friend of his, they went months and years together at Walter Reed in Chicago with little shawls that they just absolutely adore. And he's back. He's pink and pretty. And I love that picture. That was about a year ago. He's back to being stupid again. And I told him, okay, hold on. You got no arms and no legs. You're drinking beer in a boat. But what are you missing, Joe? But treat him that way, didn't I? That is a great guy. A band called Eli Young did a video and has features those two soldiers. I'm gonna get to the conclusion so you'll hear it at the end. The theme of the song is love ain't always easy, but that's when it matters most. Y'all don't know this group, but I know your grandchildren, so what I do now. Hope you like it.
In 2012, Taylor Morris became a quadruple amputee after being involved in an explosion in Afghanistan. His girlfriend, Danielle, dropped everything to be at his side. Love ain't always easy. That's what matters most. 2 night stays, checking in and out. Meeting strangers in the lobby, waking up and leaving town the next day. But love ain't. And whiskey's poured for when you're bored on Friday night. When you wanna lose yourself and need a place to hide from all the pain. But love ain't. Love ain't. You wanna stop walking your interest all alone. Love ain't. You calling me 'cause he ain't picking up his phone. The way you're talking till I need somebody you should hate. Love ain't. I know love is worth what I know love ain't. Come on, let me show you what it can't. 'Cause he can only show you what love ain't. Sad movies are for crying on the couch there in the dark. That sad song, it was written just to try and get your heart to break. But love ain't. Love ain't. You wanna stop walking your interest all alone. Love ain't. You calling me 'cause he ain't picking up his phone. The way you're talking till I need somebody you should hate. I'm ready. I know what is true. I know what love ain't. Come on, let me show you what he can't. 'Cause he can only show you what love ain't. What are you doing? Feel like a fool and you keep letting him do it to you. 'Cause love ain't. You wanna stop walking your interest all alone. Love ain't. You calling me 'cause he ain't picking up his phone. The way you're talking till I need somebody you should hate. I'm made. I know what love is worth, but I know what love ain't. I'm made. I know what love is worth, but I know what love ain't. Come on, let me show you what we can't. 'Cause he can only show you what love ain't. Love ain't.
Pretty special, isn't it? Oh, picked this soldier up in somewhere in Iowa. I didn't know the planet ever got as cold as it did. I'm gonna rush through this a little bit. Todd Landon, 7 tours in Afghanistan. That's what's beating up our soldiers. When I was there, went to Vietnam, came home. Now we send them back and back and back and back. Took him to Birmingham. His brother's wife was dying, so I brought him to Birmingham, his family, in those shawls. He was at Birmingham on a Wednesday. I took him to Rotary with me. And that day, that was our former Representative Backus and former Mayor of Birmingham happened to be there that day. Introduced Todd to them. At that meeting, Todd took this off and gave it to me. 6 tours. He lost 22 men. That's the names and dates of every soldier he lost, and he wants me to have that. Well, you don't say no to that. Much as I wanted, I couldn't honor that. Another plane took him back home Friday. I met him there. I want to see him off. And they gave it back to him. And his wife told me, said, I can't believe he gave that to you. The only time it's ever been off his arm is when he's in surgery. No way I could wear that. I was humbled, certainly. It's a quick story. EOD tech. These soldiers, when they get hurt so bad, they call it their live day. And then when they realize they wouldn't have been with us except for grace of God. Well, Aaron was disarmed way bomb, but there's no one under it, so it got blown up. So if you ask Aaron what his live day is, he said, I don't have one, sir. I have the I suck at my job day. His wife, beautiful, little tiny, feisty one young woman, throws a wheelchair in the back of the car as they're leaving, and parenthetically, she says, it never gets better, I just get better at it. That's a sermon. Oh, and that daughter loves me more than enough. Last story, flew up to DC area, they from Monroeville, Eric and Kenna Hunter. And Monroeville is a community, my son, and we've hunted down there for 40 years. I love the people, know the town, and I couldn't wait to do this one. It's a homecoming. He got really blown up. So I went up the night before, remember? And Kenna, the wife, called me that evening, said, Uncle Jimmy wants us to land at 1:30. What time would be at the airport? We flew out of Gaithersburg, Maryland. And I did the math and said, we got to be rolling down the runway at 11 o'clock, just whatever it was. So I'm there waiting on them an hour and a half late, a little over an hour late. Couldn't get out of Walter Reed. His CO was there and his first sergeant, a bunch of guys wanted to see him off, you know, that kind of thing. Gone, and the medicines had boxes of meds and gauzes and stuff. Tell Uncle Jimmy just do the best I can. And off we go. In the old days, you change your call sign. That plane was 988 Charlie. You can change the first three to HRF, Hero Flight 88 Charlie. So the whole system knows what I'm doing. And the ATC will route you they'll help all they can. So off we go. And it was a beautiful day. The way you do, kind of like, well, don't y'all have a tower daytime? At night, you don't, but this little Monroe doesn't have a tower. It's uncontrolled. A lot safer than you might think. About 30 miles out, I'll probably talk about line, I canceled my clearance. And now it's just a see and be seen, which is really safer than anything. So I called up Monroeville frequency and I said, I'm 30 miles out, descending, anybody in the pattern, looks like the wind's favoring runway 3. Radio came right back. We said, using runway 3, we think a low pass is in order. Well, I don't do that. But I look back, they were listening, so they all smiled. We're gonna do a daggone low pass. And you go really high, when you're coming down, you got to dissipate a whole gob of energy. And the way that happens is you just scream. So we're singing down the runway. I'm gonna do this, of course, reverse will come back. I'll never forget this. I'm looked at my watch, midpoint of the runway, we're 7 minutes or still don't have a good feeling about that. Something. Turn around, come back, and look what Monroeville did. That's getting off the plane, the 2 boys. Isn't that wonderful? Small town, and y'all kind of got a small town. Cherish that, be that. Convict me to get Birmingham to do that. The old soldiers, the fire engines, the football coaches, the Boy Scout troops, the cheerleaders. And by the way, there's only one cake that's legal in Monroeville. It's coconut. We had 2 dozen of them. And I think the only religion is Baptist, probably. And we prayed a lot. Just a beautiful day. The OVFW, look at the fire truck. How cool is that? Small town welcoming their own home. I just think the tradition is marvelous. They call this a Patriot Guard. Never been around these guys before. Big old Harley Davidson guy. And ladies, I didn't know men could grow that much hair, that many places. It's out of the ears, the eyebrows, the arms, the back. General John's big old parade in the town. Just absolutely wonderful day. So it's time for me to go. I'll tell you what, I think I did this. See how gray he is? This is a couple of years later, I carried him. He's pink and pretty in the back. That's the healing I get to watch. So Miss Lawton, I'm all by myself. I took that picture. I think it's a good day. I'm done. Y'all got a question or comment? Well, thank you.
We do have a couple more minutes. Might there be any questions?
I have a question. So, when you get a call and you get your orders to go pick up, so how much notice do you typically give?
Good question. How long? We're about to post it for next Thursday. And I kind of look at my calendar and I just say it's mine and I do everything. By the way, I shared an anecdotal thought. Y'all are a generous community. I just heard that from all the money you raise. What's fun about this, my little ministry, I don't have a board, I don't ask for money, I just get to do what I enjoy doing. Just a kind of a neat little piece, and get to share that great story. And your applause was for them, I get that, not me. I mean, really, that's what you're applauding, you love these men. So thank y'all.
I'm gonna steal Miss Lofton's line. We just wanna thank you.
For sure. Well, thank you for giving us a perspective, and I'd like your comment, get a paper cut and write about it for 2 days. It's all about attitude. Walter, thank you for lining this up. If we could stand, let's recite the 4-way test. Of the things I think, say, or do.
Is true. Is bear all concern. Will be beneficial to all concerned.